Westbrook's got 31, his sixth 30-plus point scoring game. That sequence, a defining moment tonight.
Matt Pinto on Thunder Radio as the Thunder beat the Blazers 111-109. Russell Westbrook with 31 points, 7 assists, 9 boards. Paul George leading OKC with 37 points. Elsewhere in L.A., Knicks end their 8-game losing streak, beat the Lakers 119-112. The Clippers topped the Suns 121-111. T-Wolves over the Magic 120-103. Nets 109, Grizzlies 100. The Bucks beat up on the Hawks 144-112. Heat 115, Wizards 109. In overtime, the Pacers get by the Bulls 119-116. Celtics top the Mavericks 114-93, and the Jazz over the Cavaliers 117-91. Lakers forward LeBron James missing his 5th straight game last night with a groin strain. He'll miss at least another week. College basketball, number 20 Buffalo over Eastern Michigan 74-58. The NFL playoffs begin today. A pair of wild card games are on tap. First up in the AFC, the Texans hosting the Colts. Texans head coach Bill O'Brien says his team will have to play better defense against them.
We have to match the routes better. We've got to mix it up. We've got to combine the rush. We've got to do a better job with the rush than we did the last time. We just have to execute and coach better than we did in the second game.
The kickoff 4:35 Eastern Time, and following that game, an NFC wildcard contest as the Seahawks visit the Cowboys. Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson and company have a tough task on their hands.
It's going to be a battle. You don't get this far, for no reason. They're going to be a great football team. They're really, really, really good when we played them the first time, and we found a way to win, but they've really improved in a big way, just like we have.
Kickoff in Arlington set for 8:15 Eastern Time. Other NFL news, former Packers head coach Mike McCarthy reportedly interviewing with the Jets today for their head coaching vacancy, and the Falcons interviewing former Bucs head coach Dirk Cutter for their vacant offensive coordinator position. Now to the NHL. 8 straight wins now for the Penguins. They beat the Jets 4-0. In overtime, Stars 2, Capitals 1. The Hurricanes double up the Blue Jackets 4-2. In overtime, Red Wings 4, Predators 3. In a shootout, Devils 3, Coyotes 2. Avalanche beat the Rangers 6-1. The Golden Knights topped the Ducks 3-2. I'm Peter Schwartz.
Hey, what's up? This is Tiki Barber, and I'm talking about everything and anything on my Tiki's Barbershop podcast. Find it on iTunes, Google Play, and wherever podcasts are available.
CBS Sports Radio.
The only way you can take CBS Sports Radio 1140 with you is the radio.com app. Download it today and listen to us anytime, anywhere. We've got you covered, Las Vegas. Interviews, insights, and your input are all part of Sports Adrenaline. Here are your hosts, Tony Cordasco, John Castanino, Matt Gutierrez, and Haley Brooks on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 AM.
And good morning from Las Vegas. This is the Sports Adrenaline Show. The Vegas Golden Knights in action last night on the road in Anaheim. VGK pulls out a 3-2 win over the Ducks in a matchup of two teams going in opposite directions. While the Golden Knights are away, there is college hockey going on over at T-Mobile Arena with the Las Vegas, it's called the Ice Vegas Invitational. Air Force and Western Michigan advancing to tonight's final. UNLV basketball will be hosting Wyoming at the Thomas and Mack Center tonight after winning the conference opener, don't know how, over Colorado State on Wednesday in come-from-behind fashion. And we have a lot of Raiders news going on. There's a lot happening. Mike Mayock is the new general manager. John Gruden and his coaching staff to coach the Senior Bowl. We've got a ton of news coming out of Raiderville. Tony Cordasco along with John Castanino, Matt Gutierrez. Haley Brooks is on assignment. Sonia Schlobaum is on the dials. And we are brought to you by Laborers Local 872. They are the men and women building the Raiders Stadium, the new Summerlin Ballpark, and we'd like to thank them wholeheartedly, the men and women of 872, for their support of Sports Adrenaline. Our guest on today's show, Brian Baldinger, will be joining us live. The analyst from the NFL Network will talk Raiders. We'll talk about the hiring of the new GM for the Raiders, Mike Mayock. And then later on as well, Peter Guzman comes by from the Community Benefits Oversight Board for the Las Vegas Stadium Authority. Well, guys, here we go again. And again, it's that time of year where the lead story is coming out of the knighthood.
It is. And, well, what's your lead, Tony? Is it Brandon Peary not getting a spot, or is it, the team keeps on winning?
Well, why wouldn't it be coming out of the knighthood? It's kind of a big deal around Vegas.
Well, because the Pacific Division, I say, should just be called the Mountain West Conference of the NHL. I mean,
that
seriously,
comparison.
You play the Kings 3 times in 9 days.
Like? I'm giving the Knights no credit.
3 times in 9 days. That's a very sick team. The Kings. Let's just. You know what? That's the Globetrotters against Washington. That's exactly what it is.
John, how many points?
You got the Generals
how many games
and you got the Globetrotters.
20-something?
Okay, so 8
19
points.
of 22.
8 games in a row.
19 of 22.
In a row with points. Okay, great. Anyway, I'm going to try to be fair.
Matter. Irrelevant.
I just have to balance things out here. You guys come in wearing your Golden Knights gear.
You are on one so the far Golden tipped Knights, on one side of the scale. There's zero balance coming out of that.
Well, the winner of the Stanley Cup is coming out of the East. We know that. It's done. It's Tampa. Done deal. Done and done.
Yeah.
So the Golden Knights won their first straight
number,
game.
Tony? What's the call-in number?
So the call-in number 702-889-5978.
Can somebody call in and just yell at Tony, please? We do it all the time, but it'd be refreshing to have somebody else yell at him.
Not so loud, though. Okay. So the Golden Knights, they won their 5th straight game. They knocked off the Ducks 3-2. That's a team that's reeling. Again, Mountain West Conference of the Pacific Division. Losers of 7 straight now, the Ducks. The Ducks their defense is just horrendous. So Max Pacioretty does come back. Nets the game winner. Where is the first line? Where's the first line? Where is the first line? Where's the top line? Okay, it was a feed from Paul Stastny.
Balanced scoring in the organization.
They just, you know what? Put the second line in as a top line. Just switch them up.
Why?
Well, they need Brandon Peary back to do that.
What's wrong with the way they're playing right now? As a whole, they've won 5 in a row. Like John just said, 9 points in 19 of the last 22.
On the top line.
They're overpaid on the top line.
So Stastny, 2-on-1 break.
Did they give Carlson the overpaid deal that you were talking about?
Yes, absolutely.
They did? Oh, I forgot about that. I must have missed that.
They sure did.
They
overpaid everyone.
Tony's bringing a little extra salt into the studio this morning. It could be.
I'm extra. Extra today.
He called 2 games yesterday, right?
Yes,
so where can we catch those
games?
If you can't make it down for Ice Vegas, Tony's calling them.
I'm calling them. Yep.
Yeah. Just look up IceVegasInvitational.com.
Yep.
See, shameless plug. All right, maybe that'll calm down the salt level.
Thank you so much. So the salt level just went down.
Yeah.
So VGK beats John Gibson on the backdoor play. So finally,
John Gibson has 1 win in 6 games against the Golden Knights. It's
they're
nuts.
just bad.
It's nuts.
Seriously,
he's one
guys,
of the best goaltenders in the NHL.
I know, but
so
what
else
is wrong
does
with
this
that
team need to
division?
prove to you?
It's
What else
horrendous.
does this team need to prove to you, Tony?
Why does it matter what the division does if the Knights keep winning? Who cares what the Pacific Division looks like? Honestly, if they're going to be bad and that vaults the Knights to the top of the Western Conference, let it happen. I mean that's a good thing if you ask me. You want to go out there and see the Knights win every night. You want to see them play well. They're doing it, and the most important thing in sports is winning within your own division. And if they're able to do that, that's a good thing. I don't think it should matter whether or not the Western Conference is bad. We had the same argument last season because they dominated the Pacific, and what happened? They went out and in 5 games beat Winnipeg, who everybody assumed was the best team along with Nashville coming out of the West. And being the road team, the Knights went out and dominated them. So play good hockey, win your division, go to the playoffs.
And let me touch on this. Last night's game, and Tony, you did mention it, but it is a big point. Stastny to Pacioretty. Haven't seen that duo at all. This
nice,
might have been the 4th or 5th game that they played together, if even that many, and already they've connected for a goal, right? And I'm still burned by Peary. It's
the Peary go round.
It's so interesting how this team operates.
They're
right?
going to lose him though, right?
They throw out Marc-Andre Fleury for 700 games, and don't give Subban a start, and they're concerned about getting wins. And then you have a goal scorer that they send down to the AHL because they don't have room on the roster.
Because they can. Because right now they can. That's the most important thing.
But they can sit Marc-Andre Fleury. They just don't do it.
Okay, that's completely different. In my opinion, that's a whole nother scenario because you've been able to win games without Peary. You won games last year without Peary.
Are you sure about that? Because it's
because they won last night.
Now I know they're on a bit of a hot streak, but he got 2 of those wins. There was a 1-0 game that he scored a fluke goal on, and then one of the last home games. Right?
No. You're right. But let me ask you this: how many of those games did Pacioretty play in?
Well,
0. So you replaced. Here's the thing: you replaced Peary last night with Pacioretty. Who would you rather have on your team, Brandon Peary or Max Pacioretty? You'd rather have Pacioretty. Now, Does that mean there's not room for Peary on this team? Of course not. But he is the only available option to be able to send down right now without having to put somebody through waivers. And until they're ready to put somebody through waivers, you continue to do this.
You got to ride the hot hand, man. The team's so concerned about winning games. That's why I say that comparison with Marc-Andre.
Who had the game-winning goal last night?
So it was Pacioretty.
Max Pacioretty.
Here's a number for you guys.
That's not my argument. My argument is
that
that they're okay trotting out an aging goaltender out there every night because they say they need a win. If they need a win, why is your best player?
Who gives you a better chance to win?
But they need goals, right?
Or Peary.
Well, again, that's not my argument.
Okay, but
it's not my argument.
That's the thing is
you got to ride the hot hand
different
while he's
scenario. But John, he's only got 3 games left until they can't send him down without clearing waivers.
So then you put Lindbergh on waivers. I mean, you clear a spot for this guy.
But you don't have to yet. Why do it before you absolutely have to? What if they do that? Lindbergh gets picked up and 3 guys get injured in the next game, and now you don't have guys that have been there for the last season and a half.
Uncertainties.
Exactly. That's why you don't do it until
you
have
a goal scorer.
But you don't have to do it yet. And Pacioretty is a goal scorer. That's why you brought him in and gave him a 4-year extension.
So since the beginning of the 2010-2011 season, get these numbers, only Alex Ovechkin has more game-winning goals than Max Pacioretty. Did you know that?
I did not.
So Ovechkin, 63 game winners, Pacioretty, 47. And Patches had... a lot of he had 6 shots on net last night, and that was pretty good in his first game back. And of course, Nate Schmidt also had a goal for VGK.
What a shot for Schmidt too, man!
Yeah, that was a blast.
I went through 4 defenders.
Yeah, I don't know how I saw that.
I thought
either. That there was a deflection.
He pulled a magic trick.
The sing-eye single
that
right there.
That was
right?
the David Copperfield right there.
Yeah. Nobody touches the puck. Of course, it goes right through the net cleanly. And so again, 8 games consecutively, second longest streak. Had a 13-game streak with points in the inaugural season. 1 season ago. So now tomorrow, the Golden Knights in action at home. They take on the New Jersey Devils, and then the Rangers come in. And I got to tell you, the Rangers are not playing well at all. But the Devils, they rallied from 3 goals down to beat VGK back in early December. And we saw Nico Hischier had the game winner. And
that was an ugly game.
41 seconds, I think, into overtime. Wild Bill scored a couple of goals. No, seriously, though. So Marchessault, right? And, of course, Wild Bill, where are they?
Marchessault he had a good chance yesterday.
How many?
You talk about Wild Bill Carlson.
Do you guys know how many games in a row it's
been
before? I mean, since Marchessault had a goal.
No, it's only been a couple. He scored one just a few games ago, didn't he?
Well, I'll look that up.
Yeah, I think it's been a while.
Regardless, Tony, you can't slam the top line for not scoring more when this team has, again, 19 games out of the last 21, 22 where they've gotten points. They've won 5 in a row. You're not going to have a top line score every single game. They're not going to be the only ones that produce every single game. That's the great part about this team is once it's healthy, you have balanced scoring. You have depth throughout 4 lines. If you put Peary on that 3rd line, who knows what we're going to get out of Valentin Zykov when they finally put him on the ice. You're going to have more depth within those 4 lines. You want to have balanced scoring, and that's what you're getting now. We talked about before the season started that second line pushing the first line for being the top scoring line on the team. They haven't been healthy, unfortunately, so we haven't been able to see that yet. But now you're starting to see it.
6 games since Marchessault's last goal. That was in the overtime loss to Montreal, that back-to-back stretch where they had the 2 OT losses at home.
So Brendan Peary, we talked about Peary and the Peary go round and all that and back and forth, and he was the AHL Player of the Month. So Peary, Eric Brandstrom, and Daniel Carr named to the AHL All-Star roster.
Yeah, and it looks like Peary's going to be playing in that All-Star game. We talked about it on our Facebook show on Wednesday.
It's so funny. I mean, it's great comedy, though. But, again, there's a guy that's just not afraid to put the puck on net. He is. A lot of guys skate around. They have open looks. They're just wheeling around.
Yeah, it changes the tone of the offense as far as I'm concerned.
We knew that this guy was a really good offensive player. We thought that he would be a defensive liability. But so far, really, he hasn't really hurt the team defensively.
That's why, again, I just don't have a problem seeing one of the other guys be put on waivers. And you talk about Lindbergh. He's the highest salaried out of the 3 possibilities, Nosek, Carpenter, and Lindbergh. Lindbergh making north of $1.5 million. That's kind of a good chunk of change for some team to pick up. I think he clears waivers if they put him on waivers. And I think again, I'm no GM, but I think you take the risk just based on the way he's playing and based on Lindbergh scratching 20-plus times this season.
We're going to take a break, and when we return, Peter Guzman is in the house. He'll be joining us. He is on the Benefits Oversight Committee of the Las Vegas Stadium Authority. That big building's going up rather quickly. It's a countdown that started, right? And so we're almost within a year here of completion of the Las Vegas Stadium. Stay tuned. Much more on the way. Peter Guzman's up next on Sports Adrenaline here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
Are you tired of the same old boring sports radio shows? Well, then tune in to Joe D'Amico's Football Forecast every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. right here on CBS Sports Radio 1140 for winners, information, entertainment, and laughs. I promise you, you won't be bored.
We're here with Chuck, founder of Dollar Loan Center. Chuck, can you tell us who the typical customer at Dollar Loan Center is?
You know that 40% of the population has a credit score of less than 550 or doesn't even have a checking account? And 25% of the population uses some type of short-term lender? What's my point? Try going to a bank and borrowing $800 for a couple weeks. They have no idea how to help you. And like it or not, that's the exact banking transaction that most people really need.
And Dollar Loan Center can fill that void, right?
We process hundreds of loans every day, and we love to say yes. We approve over 75% of our applicants and can send you out the door with cash in less than 30 minutes. In our world, that's what real people are looking for.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chuck. Get up to $5,000 in just minutes at Dollar Loan Center. We have over 50 locations, and our friendly Dollar Loan Center staff are ready to help. You can also apply over the phone or online at don'tbebroke.com.
Licensed by Nevada Financial Institutions Division. Customer must meet the normal loan qualifications. To review loan qualifications, visit us at don'tbebroke.com. Certain limitations may apply. Loans are subject to approval.
Darren College, a former NFL Super Bowl champion, signed the most important contract of his life to serve in the Army National Guard.
I've had a lot of military in my family. It's a big part of what my family's done for a long time. I want to go out there and make a difference. I didn't find that working behind a desk, so for me it was a pretty easy decision to make. And then the opportunity to serve my community and serve my country was just icing on the cake.
To learn how to be part of the Army National Guard, log on to nationalguard.com. Sponsored by the Nevada Army National Guard. Aired by the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station. Selfless service is the guiding principle that drives Army National Guard soldiers to be always ready whenever disaster strikes. They are your next-door neighbors and your colleagues in schools, offices, and factories. To be a Guard soldier is to stand ready to serve at all times for family, for community, and for country. To learn more, log on to nationalguard.com or contact an Army National Guard recruiter in your area. Sponsored by the Nevada Army National Guard. Aired by the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station. The Army National Guard is committed to keeping the country safe and our community secure. Composed of hundreds of thousands of citizen soldiers from all walks of life, the Guard is always ready to respond to local or national emergencies. We protect the homeland. We're always there when called upon, and in every state and territory, we stand guard for our communities. To learn more, log on to nationalguard.com. Sponsored by the Nevada Army National Guard. Aired by the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
The Elko Convention and Visitors Authority invites you to plan to attend the 35th National Cowboy Poetry Gathering, the nation's greatest celebration of the American West, its people, culture, and traditions. All taking place January 28th through February 2nd, 2019, celebrating 35 years of rural creativity. The event will bring together cowboys, ranchers, urban, and rural people united with their love for the rural West. You'll experience poetry, music, great art, Western films, dancing, important conversations about the West and its future, and you'll make lifelong friendships. You can purchase tickets to the 35th National Cowboy Poetry Gathering by calling 888-880-5885 or online at westernfolklife.org. Also visit exploreelko.com for all the winter excitement and adventure in the beautiful Ruby Mountains. Create memories in the mountains. Experience the unexpected. Sponsored by the Elko Convention and Visitors Authority and aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and the station.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis and lose weight or stop smoking for only $49.99 guaranteed. Seminars Saturday, January 26th at the Santa Fe Station Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas and Sunday the 27th at the Hampton Inn Hotel and Suites in Henderson. Weight loss starts at 11 a.m. and stop smoking starts at 2 p.m.
The Cowboys take on the Seahawks. The NFC Wild Card this afternoon at 4:45 on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
Your input is always welcome at 702-889-5978. You're listening to Sports Adrenaline with Tony Cordasco, John Castanino, Matt Gutierrez, and Haley Brooks.
So joining us right now is Peter Guzman, the president of the Latin Chamber of Commerce here in Las Vegas, a member of the Community Benefits Plan Oversight Committee for the Stadium Board. And good morning, Peter. Thank you so much for coming down this morning. We appreciate you coming down.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. I can't believe that you guys put out this spread for me, this breakfast and everything that's out here. You guys do this for every guest or just me?
There's a huge staff here Saturday mornings, so we do it right. We got a full kitchen.
I doubt if mom and pop organizations right here.
I know you don't do this for Tommy White, I hope.
So we were at the Stadium Board meetings, and if I remember correctly, right, the board wasn't going to include an Hispanic member, right? That was the case. And didn't the Raiders, Mark Bedane, Mark Davis, didn't they step up and move to get you involved on this committee?
Well, I'll tell you, what was amazing was that's exactly how it was looking. The original group did not include a Hispanic. And could you imagine that? The Raiders' main base is Hispanic. And it's just outrageous that it was going down that way. But you know what? It took a turn for the great because, like I told my staff, if I was going to be picked, I'm happy I got picked by Mark Bedane, Mark Davis, and the Raiders themselves, that they saw all the work that we put in. Remember, I testified. I was asked by the governor to come down and testify for this to happen originally, and it did. And
come on, Tommy White's blowing up my phone. See what you did?
He heard you, man.
Tommy White, my man, Tommy White.
Spread.
We love you, Tommy.
Peter, I want to ask you this. So, obviously now that you participated in this committee for a while, we've seen some drama, and I want to focus kind of on the fun side of the drama. Has there been any fun where you just have people, they rant, they get their 2 minutes that tries to get stretched out as long as possible, and people have some good opinions. I'm wondering, how entertaining some of this is. Now, there's some serious drama, I get, but some of this, I don't know. I've just watched it and kind of sat back and said, wow, this is really unique stuff happening here.
Yeah, unique is a kind word. I saw more than unique, but listen, at the end of the day, people are emotional about it. People want to express things. People were unrealistic. But the bottom line is that we now have the Raiders coming. We now have a stadium that's being built. We have men and women. I'm all about small business and economic development. That's my life's work and life's passion. And now we have people working out there. We saw that coming. It's exactly what we knew was going to happen, and it's happening now. I'm just glad that I have a loud voice. And when I say I have a loud voice, trust me, I am not shy. Some of the men and women working out at the stadium are members of my chamber, Latin Chamber of Commerce, and I made sure that happened.
Now, we were talking a little bit before you jumped on here. You did not grow up a Raiders fan. What was your initial thought? I heard somebody talking about that. What was your initial thought when they were on their way?
The spread.
Listen, I was born in Miami, so and I spent every summer, even though I've been here 47 years, I spent every summer in Miami. So of course I'm a Miami Dolphin fan, Miami Heat fan, Marlins fan. So it took a little adjusting, right? But now I'm all in. I'm a Raiders fan. Once we saw that they were gonna go all in with us, then we got to give them our love and heart back, right?
Talk about how infectious it is to be around those guys and it's such a family feeling. I mean, you see it out there in tailgating, you see it in the Coliseum, just the sense of family and community that you get out of that organization.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, that's exactly what it is. You have people in that organization that I personally met. I went out to Oakland several times. One great trip that I went out with Tommy White. Him and I went out there and hung out. And I'll tell you, you find people in executive positions that started out in the locker room. Mark Bedane himself started out at the very bottom. And it's really like a family there. I mean, for being it's $1 billion company now. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, the minute they come to Vegas, their value is through the roof. I think they said they're going to be the second.
Yeah, they've already doubled since making the announcement to come here. They've already doubled their value.
But you won't feel that when you walk around or you hang out with these guys. These guys are normal, everyday people. Really appreciate what's happening, and it's a great thing.
And so Peter Guzman is with us now, and we're talking about the Oversight Committee, the community benefits plan and everything that's happening there. So tell us about the work. Oh, wait, hang on one second. I think somebody wants to chime in on the air right now. Tommy, are you there? Tommy White?
I'm here, buddy.
Good morning, man. How you doing? We've got Peter Guzman here.
This guy is unbelievable.
What's happening? I know that my phone was blowing up. You got something to say?
So, listen, I know we're always talking about everything that's going on the stadium. So, I just want to let everybody know the stadium's on track.
Yeah.
With all the help that we have from everybody. We've met every quota that's out there.
You're taking time away from my show. You're taking time away from my show, Tommy.
This is Tony's fault. This is Tony's
Peter
fault.
Guzman here. This is my show.
Listen, you can give all the statistics. I'm just telling everybody that we met every concrete pour, we met every underground, whether it's doing the plumbing, the pipe, laying the pipe. We got it all covered out there. So
easy.
Get this stadium up and built.
Tommy, easy with the concrete pour. We don't want anybody to think somebody ended up at the bottom of that concrete. Listen,
don't get out of line, man.
Don't get out of line, man.
Listen, we're not leaving anybody's boots in concrete out there.
So why is all the steel, silver, and black out there?
I remember there was a Kansas City Chief fan that nobody could find anymore.
Yeah, where's that flag now?
That might have happened.
He's actually that Kansas City Chiefs fan is a good. He became a very good friend of ours, and
sure.
Would
you make him an offer he couldn't refuse?
For some reason, that tweet popped up the other day, like on my timeline. You
made him an offer he couldn't refuse. I get it.
Yeah, no Chief fans.
Yeah, listen, you're going to be seeing him wearing a Raiders jersey pretty soon. So
guys,
in all seriousness, man,
when is the stadium going to be done?
Listen, Tommy will tell you it's on time. It's they're exceeding all the numbers, the minority participation numbers.
What's the percentage there? Minorities?
Well, there's different categories. One category they needed to go over 30%. They're in the 50% range. There's another one that is in the 60% range. Women, men, black, Hispanic, everybody's out there working. That thing is an economic development home run for all of us. And listen, in all seriousness, when the story's told, and it has been told, you guys are doing a great job telling it. But I'll tell you what, when the story's really told, the labor's union and Tommy took his union and went all in from day one. I testified there. Tommy was right next to me. I didn't even know the man at the time, and so many great things have happened since.
Yeah, there's a lot of good community stories out there that nobody's really heard yet, and that's from veterans and Hope for Prisoners, and all these guys are out there working, and there's women out there working, and we've got members, buying cars now. We've got members moving into houses. Some of our members are buying their first houses, and it's all because of the stadium.
So Mark Davis has shown up periodically, too, to kind of give everyone a boost. I think that has been a great incentive, and it's super that they've really invested so much into the people that are building it, the Laborers Local 872, everyone that's involved.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember, Mark Davis is a member of Local 872 now, too, and so is Mark Bedane. So, they're members of a union that's working on that stadium, so of course they're going to show up.
And they pay their dues, and they're paying their dues.
Peter
Guzman is right.
And Tommy White here on the phone with us talking about the stadium construction here. And for both of you guys, I'll start with you, Peter. For a project this massive and of this size, there hasn't been any real drama here. It seems like, now granted, going through this is probably a lot of work, but there hasn't been any major hurdles, at least that we've heard about. It seems like it's been as smooth as it can be considering a project of this size.
We say save the drama for your mama. We don't allow the drama to take.
There you go.
We don't allow.
That's the stadium committee motto.
That's the stadium committee motto. Trust me. No, there was some drama, but it was more. It was more nonsense and personal, right, and stuff that maybe a little bit made the airwaves. But you know what? I know that myself at the Latin Chamber, we rise above all that drama and accusation crap because honestly, none of it is real. The facts just don't play out in the favor of those who want to create drama, and I'm sure Tommy feels the same way. We're focused on a higher picture. economic development, a great team coming in. It's going to be great for our city. And in the process, a lot of people are working that weren't working. And now this sports thing is bringing our community together.
So we've got Peter Guzman here. We've got Tommy White, a special guest via the phone. And so what's next now? The groundbreaking for the training facility in Henderson, Monday, January 14th. Tommy, I thought your plate was full. Your plate was full, and now you're taking it to another level entirely.
Yeah, well, you know what? I can tell you this, and I know Peter will tell you the same. We got a timeline on the training center, too, and we're going to exceed that one. You know, and I've been saying this from the beginning. You know, Las Vegas was a perfect place to build a stadium. You know, simply because we do the work. We build mega resorts, and we build them on time, and we have never fell behind on an opening. And we have always, you know, we've always matched whatever budget they threw at us to get these jobs completed. So,
and I'll tell you what, Tom, if you don't do it on time, I'm going to throw an intentional grounding flag at you.
yeah, you go right ahead and do that.
Remember that name, intentional grounding.
I'll send you over to the black hole. We'll see how that works out for you.
I thought I saw you guys at the last game there in the black hole. Hey, thank you so much, Peter, man. Great pleasure to have you.
Yeah,
Tommy
no
White,
problem.
thanks for popping in via the phone. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
We appreciate all you
Thank
do.
you, buddy.
Yeah, we appreciate all you do. You guys are helping sports become part of the big boy club here in Las Vegas. And you guys are doing a great job, and I appreciate you having us.
Thank you so much.
Peter.
Peter Guzman has been with us. Tommy White on the phone from Laborers Local 872. Stay tuned. We've got much more on the way this morning right here on the Sports Adrenaline Las Vegas show, CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
Darren College, a former NFL Super Bowl champion, signed the most important contract of his life to serve in the Army National Guard.
I've had a lot of military in my family. It's a big part of what my family's done for a long time. I want to go out there and make a difference. I didn't find that working behind a desk, so for me it was a pretty easy decision to make. And then the opportunity to serve my community and serve my country was just icing on the cake.
To learn how to be part of the Army National Guard, log on to nationalguard.com. Sponsored by the Nevada Army National Guard. Aired by the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
The only way to take sports adrenaline with you is the radio.com app. Download it today and search CBS Sports Radio 1140 in Las Vegas and listen to us anytime, anywhere.
That was awesome. Good radio. Peter Guzman, Tommy White calling in.
Crazy in here, man.
Oh, that was fun. Good times. Back on the Sports Adrenaline Las Vegas show, hour number 2. Brian Baldinger, the analyst from the NFL Network, will be our guest, and he'll be live. So we had some news this week that the NFL has a partnership with Caesars Entertainment Group. So it is the first time that the NFL has an official casino sponsor. And this will be a multi-year contract. And this is, from what I read, primarily an entertainment-based sponsorship in part, with the NFL using some of Caesars music artists, along with, providing, I should say, not proving, they're going to provide a lot of unique experiences for NFL fans. So this is groundbreaking. Again, like my thought for the 2020 NFL draft was to shut down that intersection. Doesn't it make more sense now there at Flamingo and the Strip? And you've got 3 Caesars properties with Caesars Palace, with the Cromwell, with Bally's, and they could kind of block out Bellagio, I guess, because if they. But it said in the agreement that they will have some sort of an activation around the NFL draft, and you have to believe now the NFL is so good with activating around its sponsors. You have to believe that something big's coming up down the pike.
$30 million better buy you something. $30 million a year for 3 years is what the deal is. And we were talking about it on our Facebook show with Scott Colbranson, Silver and Black today. Could open the door for a naming rights deal for the stadium. Could it be the Caesars?
No, I think they already have they have, that one entrance. I think that that's all that they're going to provide.
Maybe they can't afford it. I mean, that's a huge chunk of money.
Yeah.
They've had some bankruptcy proceedings in the past, but
this is why.
But
this is why they have
part of the deal,
proceedings.
And we're going to start to see it this afternoon, Tony. We are going to Wild Card Weekend. You are going to start to see ads for Caesars Palace during NFL games. Where 3 years ago the league would not touch Las Vegas to save its life.
They wouldn't put a commercial on.
They wouldn't. No commercials.
Well, a TV show, no less.
Like they wanted to buy commercials on the Super Bowl, Las Vegas, and constantly they were shot down. All the casinos.
The quick story:
the Tony Romo, fantasy football deal, where again they shot it down.
Quick
now
story,
it's like, just gamble your guts out.
When I was at Fox 5, and one year the Fox 5 had the Super Bowl on its air, a big deal between Fox 5 and one of the casino properties out here to run ads during the Super Bowl. And that morning, the NFL called the station and said, you cannot run any of these ads during the Super Bowl. To one market in Las Vegas, they got on the phone, and the day of the Super Bowl said, you cannot do this. That's what they would do.
For $30 million, here's something that I would want out of the deal. If I'm Caesars Palace, what about official Super Bowl viewing parties in Vegas, so they don't have to call it the big game?
Right.
Yeah. They're the only ones that are going to be entitled.
$30 million should buy you that, too.
The Super Bowl and viewing parties.
We talked about that the other day, the big game thing and all the garbage that comes along with that. It's amazing how quickly an organization will change its tune when you just mentioned $30 million is being thrown your way. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The naming rights to this thing, would anybody be surprised if it's MGM or another big gambling casino, whatever you want to call it? I mean, it's going to have a gambling tie-in, I would imagine. That's just more money for the NFL, licking its chops, going, yeah, maybe we didn't dislike Vegas as much as we pretended now that we're getting paid.
Yeah.
So what I've heard from the inside, John, the naming rights will go for $30 million a year. $30 million a year, and they're looking for a 10-year deal. They're looking for a 10-year deal. And I know some of the sponsors that have come in and that have been pitched, and they're not going to go for that. That's a huge nut. It's $300 million over 10 years. That is like a major mega player.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's not going to be mom and pop. What's the one in Chicago, Comiskey, the old or the new Comiskey, U.S. Cellular, or Guaranteed Rate Field? That's it. You're not going to get Guaranteed Rate Field or Guaranteed Rate Stadium.
What
is
that
awesome.
deal? $5 million a year, maybe?
Yeah, it's not very much. Nobody shows up to that new Comiskey park.
Wait, no, okay. I've got to take a shot here. I was just thinking of this one. Okay, suddenly VGK's hot. The mayor starts tweeting out I was gonna. Come on.
I was going to tag you.
Oh, my goodness. Talk about
Mayor Goodman is all over the Golden Knights.
Oh, my goodness.
And
not
it's-
again.
What
Get
took
the
her so long?
Up.
What
Here's
took her
John.
so long?
John, start your crusade.
Yeah, and
get people
they should start making it right now.
That's so I'll go ahead and go on the record right now. That spurred my thought.
Don't call me Karen.
We're halfway through the NHL season.
Okay.
The Vegas Golden Knights more than likely gonna make the playoffs.
They're going to make the playoffs.
The city of Henderson, Clark County, the city of Las Vegas need to get on this. You know what? Right now
that
and
is
get
John
signage up.
Castanino. Tweet him.
Strip
Don't tweet
properties.
me. I had your back 110%, and everyone gets mad at me. And you're the one that started this nonsense. Get more signage.
My
up.
favorite story, though.
It actually did work.
My favorite part was Robert Irvine because they had a big, facade of Robert Irvine on Trop. It's not there anymore.
Yeah.
But Robert Irvine chimes in on my beef on Twitter, and I'm like, hey, it just might be something for the community to get behind Robert. I put him in his place right away.
Yeah,
and then the Trop puts up like a $100 light bulb that says "Go Knights Go" on the side of its building.
Right.
I think those two events are related.
But you got to be careful. Those chefs with their Ginsu knives, man. He was coming after you.
I don't know, man. He lost his signage now. He's in trouble.
Suddenly, those two are arguing. I come to John's defense, and the guy wants to fight me.
Yeah.
It's
He
like
probably already wanted to fight you, Tony. This is just another reason for him to jump on it.
So I think that Caesars is going to have a lot of activations now. I've got some friends in major sports, right? And one of the things that Caesars is putting out there right now is getting a lot of its entertainers right out there and doing activations like on the East Coast. So putting like a Lady Gaga sponsored again. Caesars, you've got MGM Resorts. They're all trying to activate around. You'll have Celine maybe playing in a stadium, an NFL stadium, again, sponsored by Caesars. This is the way that it's headed. And I think that entertainment component is a big deal. That's a big deal.
Oh, it's huge for Vegas. I mean, now you're again catering to another massive audience, one of the biggest audiences in the world that is NFL fans. And this $30 million a year might be a pretty small price to pay. You think about
a small price.
$30 million a year for the sponsorship versus $30 million to name the stadium. Which one's going to provide more value? Clearly, it's the deal that Caesars has pulled off.
And I would go all in. I would go absolutely all in. And again, up and down the strip at the Caesars properties, you betcha it's going to be Super Bowl parties where everyone else in the city has to promote the big game. That's a huge advantage for all the thousands of people that come here during Super Bowl weekend.
And Peter alluded to it before he left, right at the end of that interview, talking about this city being a big boy city now when it comes to sports. And these are the kinds of things we're starting to see. And, John, we talked about it on Thursday on the show, the now 24/7 sports news cycle that Vegas is producing. We had the occasional fight in town, and everybody loved their UNLV basketball. And maybe you pay attention to football. Loved, yeah. I mean,
past tense.
Based on the 1,300 people that showed up the other day, I'm going to say past tense.
UNLV basketball made it on Jeopardy yesterday. I mean, this is big.
Yeah, it's humongous.
That's
Jeopardy. Jeopardy's still on.
Program renaissance.
But I mean, that's where we're at now. You have to start stepping up in this way to get as much exposure as you possibly can with the constant. Again, sports news cycle that's coming out of this city. It just doesn't stop anymore.
So Caesars has partnerships now with 7 NFL teams: the Falcons, the Ravens, the Bears, the Colts, the Saints, the Eagles, and of course the Raiders. And so this is the wave of the future. And the way the casino industry here in Vegas is. I'm waiting for MGM now to come back and like hold my beer, type of an attitude, and try to one up Caesars. In
to the
some
tune
way.
of $300 million?
Yeah. Now, the only way they can one-up it is if they cancel paid parking. It's the only way to do it.
That's
MGM,
where they get
if
the
you're
$30 million from.
Just do that, and then I will love you more and more.
So between parking and resort fees, they will raise the $30 million capital this year. Stay tuned. Coming up next, yes, we'll get to it. We're going to talk UNLV Running Rebel basketball.
Oh, I thought we just did.
You're listening to the Sports Adrenaline Show right here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
Prescription opioids can be addictive and dangerous.
I lost my dad to prescription opioid addiction. Everybody knows somebody who is struggling with this very problem. Losing my mentor, my best friend, somebody who made me the person that I am, he took one pill. One pill too many that ultimately killed him.
Prescription opioids. It only takes a little to lose a lot. Visit cdc.gov/RxAwareness.
This is Governor Brian Sandoval. Since 2010 in Nevada, more than 2,800 people have died, and there have been more than 30,000 visits to the emergency room because of opioid overdoses. Opioid abuse rewires a person's brain, leading to addiction. So if there's a chance of addiction for you or someone you love, seek help immediately. Go to healthierNV.org for information and resources.
This message, sponsored by the Nevada Department of Health and Human Services, aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
The Army National Guard is committed to keeping the country safe and our communities secure. Composed of hundreds of thousands of citizen soldiers from all walks of life, the Guard is always ready to respond to local or national emergencies. We protect the homeland. We're always there when called upon, and in every state and territory, we stand guard for our communities. To learn more, log on to NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Nevada Army National Guard. Aired by the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
Prescription opioids can be addictive and dangerous.
Opioid pain medication took everything that I had. Nothing mattered more than getting my fix. I was on the verge of being homeless. My house was being foreclosed on. Knowing that it could have been prevented makes it worse. It just takes one.
Prescription opioids. It only takes a little to lose a lot. Visit cdc.gov/RxAwareness.
This is Governor Brian Sandoval. Since 2010 in Nevada, more than 2,800 people have died, and there have been more than 30,000 visits to the emergency room because of opioid overdoses. Opioid abuse rewires a person's brain, leading to addiction. So if there's a chance of addiction for you or someone you love, seek help immediately. Go to healthierNV.org for information and resources.
This message, sponsored by the Nevada Department of Health and Human Services, aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
The skills you can develop as a soldier in the Army National Guard can give you an edge in the high-tech job market of tomorrow. The Guard offers career training to take advantage of your skills in science, technology, engineering, and math that can help give you a leg up to a high-paying and rewarding STEM profession. Get a head start on your career while earning money to pay for college. Log on to NationalGuard.com to learn about all of the STEM career opportunities in the Army National Guard. Sponsored by the Nevada Army National Guard. Aired by the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
Prescription opioids can be addictive and dangerous.
Opioid pain medication took everything that I had. Nothing mattered more than getting my fix. I was on the verge of being homeless. My house was being foreclosed on. Knowing that it could have been prevented makes it worse. It just takes one.
Prescription opioids. It only takes a little to lose a lot. Visit cdc.gov/RxAwareness.
This is Governor Brian Sandoval. Since 2010 in Nevada, more than 2,800 people have died, and there have been more than 30,000 visits to the emergency room because of opioid overdoses. Opioid abuse rewires a person's brain, leading to addiction. So if there's a chance of addiction for you or someone you love, seek help immediately. Go to healthierNV.org for information and resources.
This message, sponsored by the Nevada Department of Health and Human Services, aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
The Cowboys take on the Seahawks, the NFC wild card, this afternoon at 4:45 on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
We've got you covered, Las Vegas. Reach out to us. Tweet at Adrenaline LV. Find us on Facebook, Sports Adrenaline LV, or call us now at 702-889-5978. This is the Sports Adrenaline Show on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 AM.
And don't miss it, coming up in hour number 2, Brian Baldinger from the NFL Network will be joining us live, and we'll talk a lot about the Raiders, Mike Mayock, and, of course, the new general manager with the Raiders and much, much more. So Monday night, we've got the national championship game, right? It's Alabama against Clemson, but more importantly, Sonia Schlobaum, more importantly, we've got the premiere of The Bachelor. So I'm hoping that this game is a route so that I could actually tune in and watch Colton get dissed by all these women.
Do you really want to watch an SEC nonsense game again?
No, we're going to watch The Bachelor, right?
Yeah, oh,
You'd
yeah,
rather watch
yeah.
The Bachelor, Matt.
I'll be at work. I don't even
there
care
was a
about that game.
joke on Twitter
Or
that,
The
that it's
Bachelor.
more people are going to watch The Bachelor.
Or The Bachelorette.
There was. It's not a joke. It's not a
Or
joke
any
because
of
they
it.
can't sell any tickets to this game. I think they're getting tired of Bama and Clemson playing each other.
Shocking.
It's like VGK playing the Kings. Like they play every week, these teams. So Are people
It's
getting
like just any opportunity to take a shot?
What are people saying on Facebook? Are they trying to come at me?
They're coming at you, dude.
Okay, bring it up, man.
So first of all, you're a VGK hater, and I don't think anybody here can deny that.
I'm unbiased in my reporting. I am the only true journalist in the house.
Our call-in number is 702-889-5977.
Tied for the points lead in the Western Conference. They're not playing very well.
I call the Pacific Division the Mountain West Conference of the NHL. It is.
Points in 19 of 22. The top line's not playing very well.
It's Calgary. Oh, boy, this Neil Stink, man. I watched him skate the other night.
There's a reason he's not
in
Vegas
goodness,
anymore.
He's on the third line. He's on the third line now with the Flames. He had a streak where he didn't score any goals in 25 games. It's horrendous. Yeah, so what are they saying to me? What are they saying?
Who's your team this year? They want to know.
Really?
This year.
Oh,
it's going to be Tampa.
Yeah,
Tampa's going to win. It's already done. It's done and done. It's done.
Okay.
A team from the East will win the Stanley Cup. A team from the East will win the Stanley Cup.
That's a heck of a prediction.
If Vegas was in the East,
put it on the board?
He'd be talking about a team from the West is going to win. He's just a hater.
No, that's not
He's
true.
a hater.
I'm the only true journalist in the house, in the room.
Allegedly.
If it comes to running Rebels, I'm sure he's a homer.
Oh, did you see them beat Colorado State? Here it comes.
It's the alma mater.
Amazing
Go ahead,
win.
Tony.
And so the running Rebels, they play in the Pacific Division of the Mountain West Conference.
You talk about trash. The Mountain West is absolute garbage. CSU might be one of, if not the worst team in the conference. And UNLV needed a goaltending that shot wasn't going in. They needed goaltending to pull that victory out.
78-76 was the final on Wednesday night. The conference opener at the Thomas and Mack. Running Rebels with a 16-1 run. They get the victory. They could not stop Nico Carpaccio. Carpaccio.
Paisan.
Okay.
Carpaccio?
Yeah, of course. 28 points and 20 rebounds. The guy was a monster, and he was throwing up some crazy junk. I mean, his shots were just garbage in the paint. But there's no presence on the inside in the paint. And again, the Rebels give up 44 points in the key. 44 points. So so am I a hater because I'm stating facts here? Stating facts?
No, you're definitely not a hater on UNLV.
No, it was Colorado State is a very bad team that will beat UNLV up in Fort Collins this year. That's my prediction right there.
Should have beat them in Vegas. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know how the Rebels actually pulled out that game.
I equated this to Tony Sanchez beating Reno in the Cannon game. When they won the Cannon back, it bought Tony Sanchez time. In the face of another horrible season, he gets this great win against Reno, and it buys him another season. I think this win against Colorado State bought Menzies at least another couple of weeks. If you're going to fire Dave Rice 3 games into conference season with everything that was going on there,
they're not going to fire him. And
no, they're not.
Evaluate everything at the end of the season.
I think this win guarantees that.
No. Even if he lost, they're not going to do that. They're not going to make that move again if it were to come down to that.
I think they should. And not because it's an indictment on Menzies, because they need to get a legitimate candidate into this organization. They need to find somebody that's going to spark some sort of life and fire into running Rebel basketball again. Look at the Thomas and Mack. 7 years ago, that place was full from top to bottom.
I think there were 2,500 fans there. I was there on Wednesday night.
I just pulled up the announced attendance.
Was it about 9? What is it?
7,800.
Not a chance.
81.
Yeah, no way.
Not a chance.
No, here I'll put a little bit of a ray of sunshine into this argument.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Sunshine.
the people that are showing up to the MAC now, that crowd was loud against CSU, and now it's just it's the loyal fans, right? It's the diehard Running Rebel fans that don't care about the past and what's happened with this program. They showed up and they were loud.
Right. As soon as you show up, when you're in the building, you're going to root for the team. That's the home team. That's my alma mater. I don't root publicly, for this team, but it was so funny. There was a delayed reaction. So there's a goaltending call with 1.2 to go. And the fans just froze. They didn't know what happened. Even though the referee, the officials come over, they count the bucket, and the fans were it was a delayed response. And so, man, we used to have, even if it was 2,500 fans, I thought the most knowledgeable fans in college basketball. But that was a delayed response. What's UNLV doing well? So in conference, here's what they should do. Just shoot from the outside. They can't do it. But crash the boards, 24 offensive rebounds. They're among the top teams in the country in crashing the glass, and especially on the offensive end. I think they're 4th in the nation.
You know what happens when you get a lot of offensive rebounds? you're missing a ton of shots.
They're
missing a lot of shots,
I don't
man.
care. Just
the
chuck it
offensive
up
rebound opportunities are there. That's
chuck
the problem.
and duck. Let's do it.
Well, and here's another
when
thing.
you're going against subpar bigs, that's easy.
I like seeing the kids play. I mean, Trey Woodbury didn't score, but he had points. Tervel back in the lineup. Amari
Working his
Hardy,
way back into shape.
Amari Hardy, his first start ever, had 9 assists.
Mm-hmm.
And when injuries happen, like they've happened, you see players rise up. And I know that the injuries have been happening for a while, Matt, but I think the tone, the mentality has changed a little bit. And maybe this is the start of something special. But they have to win today. If they lose today, forget about it.
Oh, they have a very soft schedule early on.
I think the
but if
injuries
they lose to Wyoming, forget about it.
The injuries are forcing Menzies to put a lineup out there that he's not exactly comfortable with, but that is a better lineup. Having Amari Hardy out there starting with other guards is a better lineup than what he's trying to shoehorn into this program, and that's this double post-up big man style offense when he doesn't have any post-up style big men.
How about in Tombway? 17 points? This guy's just come out of nowhere.
In the second half.
And come out of nowhere.
What happened, one of the adjustments that Coach Menzies made, he said, was to attack the basket, just go straight up with shots. The team was pump faking on every shot. On every shot, he said they were faking, pulling up with the pump fake, the double clutch, and what have you, against a team that never blocked shots.
And then one thing I just saw here, Mbake, right? He's really the only big man left. In 19 minutes, plus 19 was UNLV with him on the floor.
Stay tuned. Hour number 2, Brian Baldinger will be our special guest here on the Sports Adrenaline Las Vegas show, CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
You're pregnant, and no matter what you do, no matter what you try, you can't stop using alcohol, drugs, or tobacco. But no matter how lost you are, how far along you are, it's not too late. There's always hope, and there are many safe places that can help you stop using. In Nevada, pregnant women are given the highest priority for substance use treatment. Low-cost treatment options may be available so you and your baby can get healthy now. If you or someone you love is pregnant or thinking about getting pregnant and using alcohol, drugs, or tobacco, visit SoberMomsHealthyBabies.org or call 211 to find help today. Sober Moms.
Sports Flash.
I'm Peter Schwartz. Let the NFL playoffs begin. 2 games on this wild card Saturday. First up in Houston, the Texans hosting the Colts. Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson looking forward to it.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Every play counts, every moment counts, and you can't slip up. So you got to go out there and be able to focus and be locked in at every moment.
Watson to make his first NFL postseason start. The Colts are in the playoffs after a 1-5 start to their season. Head coach Frank Reich says his team is not just happy to be here.
There's checkpoints along the road, and everybody's mindset, I think most teams will tell you at the beginning of the year, hey, goal number 1, get in the tournament. But for no team does it stop there, and nor does it stop there for us.
A kickoff at 4:35 Eastern Time, and then it's off to Arlington where the Cowboys host the Seahawks. Cowboys wide receiver Amari Cooper is all pumped up.
Very excited. I'm ready to get things rolling. Obviously, playoffs is such a big deal. You lose, you go home. But if you win, you have opportunity.
Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson sums up what the playoffs of the NFL are all about.
The reality of the playoffs is this. Everybody's record 0-0, and you want to go 1-0 every week. And I think more than anything else is you just got to play with a clear head and go out there, and hopefully we can do that in the playoffs and do some special things.
Kickoff tonight, 8:15 Eastern Time. Other NFL news, former Packers head coach Mike McCarthy reportedly interviewing with the Jets today for their head coaching vacancy. The Falcons are interviewing former Bucs head coach Dirk Cutter for their vacant offensive coordinator position. Yesterday, Rams defensive tackle Aaron Donald was the only unanimous choice for the AP NFL All-Pro team. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes among 4 Chiefs players to make the squad. The Bears also with 4 All-Pros, including Khalil Mack. From college football, Georgia quarterback Justin Fields announcing he is transferring to Ohio State. From baseball, the Yankees officially signing shortstop Troy Tulowitzki to a 1-year deal. Now to hockey, the USA faces Finland tonight for the gold medal at the World Junior Hockey Championships. Face-off in Vancouver, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And this afternoon in college hockey, Notre Dame takes on Michigan outdoors at Notre Dame Stadium, the site of this past Tuesday's NHL Winter Classic. Face-off today, 4:30 Eastern Time. I'm Peter Schwartz.
CBS Sports Radio.
This is Scott Branson, host of Silver and Black Today. We'll be on an hour later this week, starting at 9 a.m. to talk Raiders football on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
We've got you covered, Las Vegas. Interviews, insights, and your input are all part of Sports Adrenaline. Here are your hosts, Tony Cordasco, John Castanino, Matt Gutierrez, and Haley Brooks on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
And welcome back for hour number 2. VGK with the win last night. They continue to roll there in the very weak Pacific Division.
I'm not even going to address it anymore.
And, of course, coming
Somebody
up in hour number 2.
Somebody call Tony out on his crap, please. 889-5978.
Brian Baldiger from NFL Network will be joining us live. We were talking about UNLV basketball. So Shakur Houston, right, is out for the remainder of the season. And by now, they said probably by the end of the week he would undergo surgery. I saw him at the game on Wednesday night, but he's going to seek a medical red shirt to come back next year. But I don't understand, okay, if you have an ACL injury, and I'm by no means a doctor here in the house, but I don't understand why Houston waited so long to get his surgery done. We knew that you knew his knee was blown out. He can't even walk.
They say it was an ACL?
It's got to be
no,
ACL. What could it be?
It absolutely doesn't have to be.
It's meniscus.
Meniscus, MCL,
I think
LCL,
I read it's
PCL,
meniscus.
ACL. It could be any of those things.
I think it was meniscus is what I saw.
Meniscus you can play through. You can fight through it, but you don't have the same kind of burst.
Can't even walk.
And it's hurt.
Can't even walk.
Yes, you can. You can walk.
He can't walk.
I have a torn meniscus. You can do things on it.
Okay, that's what makes me think that it's more severe. The guy cannot even walk around.
No, if it was more severe, then
if it was
first of all, if it's an ACL, if it's an ACL, it's immediate.
But
There's
if you have the
buts.
surgery done, a month ago now since this happened, pretty much. If he had the surgery done, then he can recover quicker, be ready for the start of the next season. Get himself into shape.
A meniscus is not going to take that long to recover. To be back to 100%, 3 months.
How long, Doc?
3 months.
Okay.
3 months to be 100% after a torn meniscus. You walk out. That's an outpatient surgery. You walk out. It's painful. It's sore, but you walk out after a meniscus tear.
The guy is definitely in a lot of pain. Why not get it done soon?
Well, why don't we look at the emotional side of this, knowing the type of player that Houston is, really passionate guy, probably wanted to play.
To try to come back and play.
And I think he was torn. And I think they tried to delay it as long as possible. And I think, Menzies kind of gave him some time to really weigh his options because Menzies is, he's one of those players' coaches. He's like, okay, well, he knows what kind of roster he has. Obviously, he'd love to have Houston in the lineup, but I don't think Menzies is the kind of guy, well, we need a decision right now, and you've got to tell us what you want to do, or, hey, we're going to ship you off and get ready for next year. No, he gave him time to think about it. That's what I think.
I think the decision that was met for Houston and his family, as Coach Menzies said that they had to sit down, was not about his return next year to the program. Was, okay, do you have that surgery done now quickly? Get yourself ready for perhaps the NBA draft. I know he's fallen because he hasn't had a great season even before the injury, but I think it was weighing between coming back for another year to UNLV, or to try to go to the pros. Like, they have so many people in their ears.
Another Rebel trying to go to the pros?
I think logic set in because the guy's from Newark, and we're very logical people, that come from that city. And then Sheikna Dembele's out for the rest of the season. He has a hand injury. Why didn't he get surgery sooner?
Oh my God, what is with you in the surgery timetable, man?
But, so there's no bigs left. That's what I was getting at.
Because the bigs are not productive.
Wow, they don't go through the post at all.
Thank God they don't have post players, Tony. You want to run your offense through Mbake or Dembele? Really?
Well,
really? First of all, they can't catch the ball.
Mbake
so
can catch now. He can catch now.
No,
he can catch now. Yes, he's been practicing.
He can't. He still doesn't catch.
And
if you put him on a football field, man, he's got Amari Cooper status going on.
So good job by Jonathan Chama-Chachua. Not just Chama-Chachua, as some people might refer to him. He's got a first name, for crying out loud. He's not JTT. He's Jonathan Chama-Chachua. Okay, I got that out of my system. So he gets a couple of fouls in the first 2 minutes and then settles down. And then Mbake Jong as well, 2 quick fouls when he comes in, and then he settles down. So I thought that was really good and some heady play there by those 2 big men, because without them, the Rebels might have gotten blown out on their home court. They were about 1 possession away in that contest on Wednesday night, about 1 play away, I feel, from really getting blown out. I do. And if Clyburn doesn't come up with a big block on a breakaway attempt for Colorado State, that was a turning point of the game. I think the Rebels might be 0-1 in conference play.
Yeah, they were, down 11 late, and it was a 13-3 run to close out the game.
16-5, 13-3.
Yeah, you got to give them credit for that, and as I was alluding to in the last segment, young guys played well. Amari Hardy played well. So, like I said, I'm double talking here, but there's a little glimmer of hope here for me. But they're also due for the letdown. They could just lay an egg against Wyoming, and then they're 1-1 in conference. But Wyoming 4-10. It's a team UNLV should beat. But we know this in the Mountain West Conference. Air Force beats UNLV consistently. The parity is just nuts.
Well, John, you talked
about the NHL's much better. Going back to Tony's analogy, NHL. It's no comparison. I know you're comparing the NHL Pacific.
You talked about enjoying watching these kids play. That, they're not a good basketball team, but you like watching them play. You enjoy watching this team. That doesn't give me hope, though. Enjoying watching a team that hustles doesn't give me hope that they're going to go out there and start stringing wins together, because I still don't see enough talent on the floor to do that. Beating this Colorado State team at home on a last-second goaltending call does not invoke hope. That's not a good win. That's a lucky win against a bad team in a game that you probably should have lost. And now you have Wyoming coming up, another bad team that you really should win this game. I just don't see enough. I don't see enough defense out there. They can't make a layup to save their life, and they don't shoot well from the outside.
Can't make a layup. They can't even convert on dunk attempts. So Wyoming tonight, and so the Cowboys lost the conference opener at home to Boise, 69-55. Bad news, Justin James, the league's leading scorer, held to just 7 points, 1 out of 14 from the field on Wednesday night. He averaged 22 points coming into the game. Worst news, UNLV might not be able to contain him. They might not be able to guard him tonight. He might get 37 points to even out his average and get it back up to 22.
They can't guard one-on-one on the perimeter.
They have one guy that they need to stop tonight, okay? One guy. And then, once again, enough of the pump fakes. No more pump fakes, please. No more pump fakes. Don't do that. Give that up. Just go to the bucket, for crying out loud. I saw Wyoming also threw a zone at Boise. That could be trouble. The Broncos went to the high post repeatedly, and the Rebels need to do that tonight. Go to the high post. You're going to have to do that. Has to be in the game plan.
you can't run this offense through bigs, man. You just can't do it. It's not. There's no productive big man on this team. How can you run an offense when the guy that has the ball is zero threat to score? Unless it's a putback, and then even those are sketchy. I think you need to change it up. I think you need to play smaller, need to try to play faster, get guys going from the outside. Even though this team doesn't shoot well, you have to. That is the better option, in my opinion, because at least you have athletes out there that can create.
All right, so let me jump ahead a little bit. All right, so Marvin Menzies, right? Let's just say he doesn't last the season, just hypothetically. So let's talk about this. Who takes this job? Who takes this job? It's not going to be Fred Hoiberg. He's going to UCLA.
I said it last week.
Patino's the only one
Why
that
not?
possibly.
Why not?
Hoiberg?
No, Patino.
Yeah, he'd be the only one that would take the job.
First of all, you're going to get him on the cheap. You're not going to have to pay him the kind of high dollar that he's commanded throughout his entire career. Maybe he's in Greece right now. You think he wouldn't come back here for a fraction of what he's been making in his entire career? Just to A, finally coach at UNLV and B, in Vegas. B, get back into Division I college basketball. C, get his name back in there in a positive light. Why not do it? And as far as the program is concerned, you have somebody who is going to generate buzz. Marvin Menzies generates zero buzz. Yeah. Look at the attendance at the Thomas and Mack. There is nobody there. Patino shows up, you have a minimum 12,000 people at that first game.
It's Patino or bust. I mean, you either get him or you're with Marvin Menzies for the foreseeable future.
I think
that's that.
Here's just my thought. No matter what happens here, if Menzies lasts or doesn't, obviously something needs to be done to get fans in the stands, right? This will not become quickly overnight a football school. I think UNLV is banking a lot on the UNLV football program blowing up rather than the basketball program.
4 wins a season?
Well, I mean, you got to do something now with the new stadium, with their
the potential for revenue. Is
Again,
there.
you need
a lot of it.
A splash higher.
They
on
can't
the
overlook
side.
basketball because that's where everything began with this program. And for me, it's got to be okay. Menzies is gone this year, next year, 2 years, 3 years, whenever. It's got to be a big-name coach. It can't be an assistant.
It's on both sides,
It's got to be a marquee name. It's got to be a marquee name.
You have to.
Well, and it'll be Desiree Reed-Francois' first major hire, correct? She's going to want to make a splash. So it's a Patino or bust, like I said.
Hey, in the next 12 months, there has to be 2 new hires at the top of UNLV sports, football and basketball.
We'll see. I mean, there's nothing I can say about it, about the situation. I just think that we got to just continue, see what happens, and everything works out in the end, right? If it happens at the end of the season for football and for basketball, at the end of the conclusion of their seasons, then they're going to have to make moves. And they know that, right? I think the program knows that. And I think that there's a lot of buzz. There's a ton. I wish that all the people that are on Twitter with their comments would show up at the games. I think, like everyone, it's on fire, right? So the guys at the RJ were telling me VGK is #1 in hits, right, on the website. And, hits as far as reading all their stories that I don't pay for, with the Review Journal. So VGK is #1. Number two still in this city is UNLV running Rebel basketball. That's #2. People are still curious about the program.
Guess
They're
what?
still on the fence. They want to come back, but they don't. They're in, they're out.
When the Raiders get here, they're going to drop to #3. When NBA gets here, they're going to drop to #4. They better start doing something now before everybody else.
VGK is going to drop too.
They'll drop to #2. They'll be behind the Raiders.
They're going to be #3.
No, they're not.
Yes, NBA will surpass VGK easily.
I disagree.
Of course you guys are homers. Of course you're going to disagree.
I don't know, man. I could see that, but regardless, UNLV is going to drop. If they don't start doing something right now while they still have a glimmer of hope at being relevant, they're going to fall. They're going to fall into complete irrelevancy. Nobody's going to care.
If there's 3 teams in this market, who would you spend your dollars on? Would it be the Raiders? Would it be the Raiders? Would it be the Golden Knights?
You're going to spend it on who is
the
playing
Las Vegas
the
Rockets.
best. You're going to spend it on whichever team is playing well.
Whoever's winning.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
That's what's going to happen.
Well, my 2 cents would be, this is 100% honest, I would still stick with the Golden Knights because that is more entertaining than anything.
It is.
NBA, I don't want to sit and watch 3 quarters of boring basketball before they start to play hard in the 4th quarter. And then the Raider Stadium, for my dollar, I'm up in the 400 level, right? And I'm barely seeing the game. So for the value, I'm going to the NHL game and watching the Golden Knights.
There you go.
Wyoming also has a player, Hunter Thompson, who should have come to Vegas to play for UNLV, freshman. And Wyoming has won 3 out of 30 games in Las Vegas. Just 3 out of 30 games. They're 4-10. UNLV with a good chance to go 2-0 in conference play. And these guys, we could shush them here.
Show me something.
Coming up next,
Show me something.
It'll be Brian Baldinger. Brian Baldinger will be joining us live from the NFL Network. Stay tuned. Sports Adrenaline Las Vegas. CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
Sign up today for a new William Hill mobile sports account and you can earn up to a $50 bonus. The William Hill mobile sports app allows you to bet on the go from anywhere in Nevada. With the largest wagering menu, the mobile sports app features live in-play betting on football, baseball, basketball, hockey, soccer, and tennis. You can fund your mobile sports account at over 350 locations, including PT's, Sierra Gold, SG Bar, Sean Patrick's Pubs, and 7-Eleven throughout Nevada. For more information, visit williamhill.us. That's williamhill.us. William Hill, the home of betting.
Business forecasting intel, and strong connections. Attend Preview Las Vegas on Thursday, January 24th. Get the economic outlook from Jeremy Aguero with applied analysis, tourism trends from LVCVA CEO Steve Hill, insights from the Brookings Institution's Dr. Robert Lang and Dr. John Hudak, and find out what's next in technology from our experts in blockchain and smart cities. Plus, new this year is a
This afternoon at 4:45 on CBS Sports Radio, 1140.
Your input is always welcome at 702-889-5978. You're listening to Sports Adrenaline with Tony Cordasco, John Castanino, Matt Gutierrez, and Haley Brooks.
Welcome back. We've got some news from the Raider Nation. The Raiders finishing up this season at 4-12 after getting blitzed by the Chiefs last week. So this week, Mike Mayock was named the general manager. So John Gruden and Mayock, who was a draft expert and NFL Network analyst, those two have known each other for some 20 years. So how does this relationship work? I'm sure that there's got to be, again, a line of delineation, as there was with Reggie McKenzie, although McKenzie towards the end became more of a scout than a general manager.
Look, they need talent evaluation going into these next couple of drafts. They cannot afford to miss on 5 first-round draft picks over the next 2 years, especially this first year with 3 of them, and especially coming on the heels of the Khalil Mack trade. You can't get rid of a guy like Mack, get those draft picks, and then completely miss.
You guys have to let it go with Mac. He's been gone for a season.
No. I'm not talking about Mac being there. I'm talking about the fact that you got picks
the
for
Raider
him,
Nation.
and
That's all you talk about is Khalil Mack.
Stop saying you. They. I don't. He's gone. That's fine. What I'm talking about is the picks you got for him. You cannot afford to miss on those picks when you don't have a guy like that in your organization. Mike Mayock is a fantastic evaluator of talent. He knows what these guys can do. He understands every single player that's going to be in this draft. You need a guy like that in there to help Gruden out. That's what he's been brought in for.
The same guy that missed on Johnny Manziel. Bad.
Oh, no.
He was number one.
He had a miss. You tell me one guy that's 100%. So Mel Kiper's a disaster, and he still has a job.
So everyone is going through all of his evaluations. I mean, they're going back. I saw yesterday all the quarterback rankings from year to year.
Well, they're not drafting a quarterback, so that doesn't matter.
I know, but it's kind of funny, though, that a lot of the fans are just going deep and trying to find a weakness there. But the guy's legit. Obviously, he knows talent.
But here's the thing, is that Gruden's got to agree with him, right? Ultimately, John Gruden will make any personnel or draft decision here. I don't think Mayock has a big enough voice to say we're going to draft this guy in the first. He runs the organization. I mean, you're telling me you signed this guy for 10 years, $10 million a year, and the Reggie McKenzie now out. Clearly, Gruden is the top dog. The buck's going to stop with him. My concern is that he runs this team into the ground as far as the cap goes, saying, I want this guy, and I want this guy, and I want this guy. I mean, they have a lot of room, but that could evaporate really quickly if they make 2 or 3 bad decisions.
Well, there's a reason that he brought Mayock in. McKenzie wasn't his guy. McKenzie was not Gruden's guy, and that's the issue you run into when you bring in a new GM or you bring in a new head coach. You want to have your own guys in there, and Gruden started cleaning house immediately, both on and off the field. He brought in Mayock specifically because he knows that he can evaluate talent, and I'm sure he knows that he can work with him, and maybe they have a like-minded strategy as to how they're going to approach these next couple of drafts.
Right, and here's why I love this move, right? And it's an arbitrary reason. I talked about it Thursday night on Facebook. Mayock's a TV guy, and so is John Gruden, right?
So is John Castanino.
Background, a little bias here, right? So arbitrary. But Mayock is, well-respected as far as the TV ranks go. Gruden understands the television side of the business. And now he's giving credence to these journalists out there like Mike Mayock, who's one of the best in the business in the NFL, saying, hey, I'm going to give some, again, credence to a TV guy that evaluates talent and trust him to run the organization. And also, Mayock comes out and says, hey, I may not know everything about running the day-to-day of an organization or being the GM on a day-to-day basis. I'm sure there's hundreds and thousands and millions of people out there that get hosed on jobs based on that alone. Maybe they haven't done one aspect of a job, but they know they could crush it, and yet they don't get the gig. So I love that the Raiders gave him an opportunity. They're going to let him kind of explore the job a little bit, but for those reasons, I think, again, Gruden kind of runs the show here, and Mayock's just going to be the seasoning, I guess, to the steak and potatoes of Gruden.
I have to agree with you there because it's not going to be a general manager in the traditional sense, right? It's going to be different duties and what have you. He's going to be more of a player personnel type of a person, within that organization. And, of course, Mark Davis is a huge fan. They've had several meetings and sat down over the years, him and Mike Mayock, and I guess Davis said that he wanted to find some position in the organization, and he told Mayock that he would work for him eventually. Now, Reggie McKenzie's top assistant, Joey Clinkscales, fired this week, and the Raiders now talking to Ryan Grigson.
Right.
Again, he's a former player personnel director of the Eagles and the former Colts GM. So, again, you're getting guys that evaluate talent. These next 2 drafts are so important for the Raiders. Also, in the evaluation area, you have to take a look at free agents because they have a lot of cap space.
Yeah, you bring in Grigson because he has experience doing this job. That was one of the big knocks on Mayock when the name first came up. He has no experience as a GM. How can he do this job? I don't remember anybody having that same criticism of John Lynch last year being hired by the 49ers. The Raiders are under such a microscope all the time when it comes to the moves that they make because there have been so many bad moves made over the course of the last 15 to 20 years. But you bring in another guy to help Mayock out, a guy that has experience in that position, like you talked about, John, a guy that can help out with cap situations. Reggie McKenzie did a phenomenal job riding the ship with the salary cap issues. When he got there was so much dead money tied up into this organization. You were overpaying guys like Richard Seymour, guys that were well past their prime, and McKenzie was able to really steer that into the right direction. Now you go into this season with $85 million in cap space. You have 3 first-round picks this season. You need both somebody that can evaluate talent and somebody that could manage that cap going forward, and they're bringing two different guys in to do both of those jobs.
We have groundbreaking coming up for the new training facility and the offices for the Raiders in Henderson. That'll be on Monday, January the 14th, St. Rose Parkway near the Henderson Executive Airport. So 55 acres of land. That will include office space, practice facilities, all that. A hill that John and I can go try to run up and down, and then some tires I think that Matt could run through. And the Raiders bought that land for a reduced price of $6 million. Sale completed in December. So will John Gruden show up at the groundbreaking? That's the biggest question. That's what fans want to know. I think he will.
Yeah, I mean,
he should.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. He should be out there, right?
And this is a team without a home technically right now. So Las Vegas is really the Raiders' only home.
Are we calling them Las Vegas Raiders now? Can we just dump the Oakland?
They're going to change the name. And it'll be Las Vegas something.
Are they going to start
Oakland's
to sell the gear?
I was going to say, we need some merchandise, man. Let's go.
Oakland's going to keep the Raider name. That's it.
No, they're not.
Oh, the whole.
They're going to keep the Oakland name. That's all they're keeping is Oakland.
Put it on the prediction board. Tony says they won't be called the Raiders any longer.
So also Senior Bowl. So John Gruden and his staff jumping at the opportunity to coach in the Senior Bowl. So that's another big move for this Raider organization. And you know that Gruden will not sit still. And again, I've got to go back to what I've heard from the organization. They want to be 8-8. They want to be a 500 team next season before they come to Vegas, build up some momentum, get this fan base to really be excited, and then bang in 2020.
Here's something just popped into my head because I'm a genius, right?
Clearly.
Got to get Lexington Thomas on the roster, right? They need running backs. They need a little bit more depth.
They don't need that kind of.
Well, they don't need to draft him.
No, but they don't need a small, maybe return type that they don't need him. He's not a guy that they need on that roster right now.
I disagree.
When you have DeAndre Washington and Jalen Richard in there, that you don't need to bring in another smaller back with speed.
On the roster. That's what you need. And he can return kicks.
I would love to see. No, can he?
Sure.
When did we ever see Lex return kicks?
I think that's Tony Sanchez protecting his best
even
offensive
still,
weapon.
He never did it.
He could return.
Tony, do you remember Lex returning kicks?
He could do it.
But has he done it?
I think he has. Yeah,
I don't recall him returning a single kick.
If he doesn't get drafted, put him on the roster.
No, not this year. No, of
don't
course.
draft him. But
they protected him a lot.
Didn't the Raiders just have a 99-yard punt return the other day?
Did they?
Yeah,
they did.
Is that a team record?
That was.
You can't get much longer than that.
Just give him a shot in camp. I'll say that. You don't need to put him on a 53.
As long as one of the 32 teams out there gives Lex a shot, we'll be happy with it. But that'd be great to see him on the Raiders.
I think we were the first group to really start this crusade and this campaign. And if you're listening out there, Raiders and Raider Nation, we need a preseason game here, for crying out loud. It will be the last year of Sam Boyd Stadium, and I'm going to be on the committee for the going away final season finale.
Is there some nostalgia there?
Of course.
Make sure you buy plenty of dynamite for it, because that's
the final
what the priority should be.
Absolutely. It should be. You're right. But at least now there's a press box that is enclosed, John. I used to call games back in the day when people used to be standing
through there.
in front of me.
It.
You remember that?
I remember that.
It was wide open. It was so cold.
Oh, it was the worst.
The wind would just come howling through, and fans would be like, "Hey, what's up?" Talking to me when I was on the air, for crying out loud. So
Tony's so popular.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, especially with our Facebook friends, as we saw. One other note: Tom Flores, one of 15 finalists for the NFL Hall of Fame. Does he get in? Ed Reed, Tony Gonzalez, shoo-ins.
Yep. I mean, how do you not put Flores? How is Flores not in? Let's back up. How is Tom Flores not already in the Hall of Fame?
How was he overlooked for this long, right?
Because he's a Raider.
I'll tell you why.
Because he's a Raider.
No.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
the Raiders are canceling their votes because everyone believes that because they played for the Raiders, they belong in the Hall of Fame. That is what my impression.
How many guys that have played for the Raiders should have already been?
That's
Cliff
what I
Branch
get.
should have already been.
Sure.
Tom Flores should have already been. Jim Plunkett should have already been.
Just put them all in. Have a Raider entry right now and put them all in.
I'm sorry that there's not more Jets that are worthy of the Hall of Fame.
Has a campaign.
Still hanging on your Joe Namath days. But there are plenty of Raiders that should have been in for a while.
will be in the Hall of Fame. 105 career coaching wins for Flores. Twice Super Bowl champion and the 1982 AFC Coach of the Year. And again, I spoke to Ed Reed. I talked to Ed Reed over the summer. I told him, I go, you're an absolute shoo-in. And you know what? They don't believe it, these guys, until they're actually in. It's really funny, though. Like, they want to be in the Hall of Fame. And even though with all the media attention and the hype, they still don't believe they're going to get in until they're in.
Not everybody's like AB on the Steelers that pitch a fit when they're not voted team MVP.
That's right.
So there are some
Future
classy
Jet
guys in
Future
the
Jet.
NFL.
You can have him.
Okay.
What is he, 31, 32 already? Good luck.
Stay tuned. We're going to be speaking live with Brian Baldinger from the NFL Network. Don't go away. You don't want to miss it. Coming up live here on the Sports Adrenaline Show, CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
We're here with Chuck, founder of Dollar Loan Center. Now, I know I hate the real treadmill, but
Castanino, and with us live, Brian Baldinger, the NFL Network analyst, joins us. You can follow him at Baldy NFL on Twitter. And also what I like is the insight where you can see Baldy's breakdowns as he breaks down players and key plays each week on both Twitter and Instagram. Brian, let's first of all talk about the Raiders and the hiring of Mike Mayock as general manager. So tell us about your now former colleague and how he will fit in with John Gruden. We know that, Mayock has this track record as an expert evaluator of talent, but what else will he bring to the table that might lead us to believe that this marriage will work out?
Well, I know Mike a long time. We worked together out of NFL Films. We did a lot of shows together for the NFL Network, Playbook, and Back to the Draft. And so, one thing about Mike is he is truly a grinder. He loves what he does. He's really good at it, and he's tireless. I mean, he'll do anything to go find players, to evaluate them, there's just no amount of time in the day that he won't spend committed to that job. And I know he's excited about it. He's had some kind of lukewarm offers in the past, but I think this is something that John Gruden, when he released Reggie McKenzie, he was looking to get just a fresh set of eyes on, trying to rebuild this once great franchise.
Hey, Brian, Matt Gutierrez here. Sticking with the Mayock thing, does his lack of experience as a GM concern you at all, or is this just all about him having that player knowledge and being able to evaluate talent?
Well, I don't know. I think experience always helps you in any business. I think it's a little bit different for Mike and others that have tried this, John Lynch, Matt Millen. I think it's a little bit different if you evaluate players for a TV show, for the draft, for NFL Network. And then I think it's a little bit different when you're spending Mark Davis and family money on players. And, look, everybody makes mistakes in this industry. Everybody misses on players. But, the big thing is to make sure you learn from all your mistakes. And I don't think you truly can make a mistake until you're writing a check for a player and you're making a commitment to them. And so that's something that will be new for Mike. But I think, he's really kind of cross-checked over the last 15 years or so the players that he hit on and players that he missed and what his blind spots might have been when he did miss on a player. And I think that's a great deal of experience right there, that you've already sort of been correcting your mistakes. And I think he's got a relationship. He's evaluated all these players that have come out over these years. So free agency, I think he's going to know the warts, the pluses, the person, the personality. When they start going into free agency, he's going to know a great deal about these other players. A lot of guys don't know.
Brian Baldinger of the NFL Network joining us. Brian, John Castanino here. With all that said, tell us a little bit about this relationship, this dynamic between Gruden and Mike Mayock. How do you think this is going to play out?
Well, we have to find out. I mean, I think it's going to be hard just to tell you that they're going to win a Super Bowl in 3 years or anything like that. But we've seen teams. I mean, if you look at John Dorsey, what he has done in Cleveland in a short period of time, I mean, they're a competitive, contending team now, the last 3 quarters of the season. It can be done quickly. You have to draft well. You have to, you got to hit in free agency. And so they've got a lot of draft capital. They're going to have a lot of financial capital. And I think John's plan and what he wants, what he's looking for in players, I think he'll convey that message to Mike clearly and be able to really kind of sift through a lot of names and a lot of players, to find the best fit for the Oakland Raiders, or for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, I guess my concern here is, if Mike has a suggestion, and obviously these guys are both TV guys, right? So they kind of have that kinship as well. But, does John Gruden kind of throw out Mayock's information and just go with his gut feeling in some of these instances? And that's where I think that not necessarily butting heads, but where Gruden gets the information and kind of disregards it and maybe goes his own way.
Well, I don't think he's going to hire Mike to disregard his information. I mean, he needs Mike. And I think he needs the input. I mean, nobody has the ability to evaluate. I remember one year, Ron Wolf, who was a great talent evaluator, ran the Green Bay Packers, won a championship with the Packers. I asked him one time, a couple weeks before the draft, how many players he had evaluated. He said he evaluated 800 by himself, and as a group, they evaluated over 1,100 players. John, he doesn't have that kind of time, nor should he commit that kind of time. I think Mike will bring players to him. He'll look at them, another set of eyes, and I think they'll have adult conversations. I mean, real football conversations. And the idea that this thing is going to be smooth and there's not going to be, there's going to be contention, but there should be contention. You should fight over players. And so I think Mike will stand firm behind, what he sees, and John's got to make those decisions.
Hey, Baldy, I want to get your thoughts on Derek Carr. So what do you like? What is broken? And does this quarterback, because you're breaking down film all the time, does he fit the Gruden system and the scheme long-term?
Well, I do think he does. I mean, I think they fixed him a great deal this year. I mean, if you watch that game in London against Seattle, he looked broken. And at that time, Amari Cooper was, on the trading block, and it shipped Khalil Mack out, and people were questioning whether Derek Carr was going to be the next guy to go. And I don't know, over the last 8 weeks or 10 weeks, he didn't throw an interception. I mean, I think that was a big part of the turnaround. I thought he got a lot more aggressive throwing the ball, looked a lot more like he did in 2016 and 2015 towards the end of the season, going down the field a lot more, getting the ball out of his hands faster. I thought I saw a lot of that. I mean, John wants to run the ball. He wants to control the clock. He wants to use play action. I mean, it's pretty clear what he wants. They have to get better up front. They've got to find some more backs. But he wants to control it the way Dallas does, the way Seattle did, in a way Baltimore does. And then he wants to take his shots down the field. And Derek Carr's got plenty of arm, and he's got the moxie to do that. I think it could be a good fit.
Hey, Brian, let's jump to Wild Card Weekend here. One of the better ones that we've seen in a long time. Total points for all four games, the lowest it's been since 1990. Which game out of these four really jumps out at you? Because you have some phenomenal matchups with the Colts going back to Houston, where they just won recently, a rematch just a couple of weeks ago with the Chargers and the Ravens. Just fantastic games, top to bottom.
I agree. I think I'll go to Sunday afternoon's game first in Chicago. I mean, the Bears and the Eagles, and I saw the Eagles live last week in Washington. I announced that game, and I live in Philadelphia, and I've seen this team get healthy at the right positions. I've seen Avonte Maddox come in and nail down the left cornerback job when it didn't look like they had a single corner that could play. I've seen Darren Sproles get healthy the last month. I've seen Lane Johnson get healthy at right tackle. I've seen the defensive line get healthy all the way across the board to where they're 8 deep right now. And then ultimately, Nick Foles is playing at that level that made him the Super Bowl MVP. That being said, I love Chicago. I love everything about the Bears. I love the way they play defense, take the ball away. I love the coaching of Matt Nagy. He's my choice for the coach of the year. And it's going to be a frenzy in Chicago. I mean, I haven't seen a playoff game there in this decade. So it has all the makings of a great, great game on NBC on Sunday afternoon. And I'll be honest with you guys, I flip back and forth every 5 minutes on who I like in the game because I like both teams a great deal. I think the team that wins the game is going to win the NFC.
I like that point, and I've got the Bears at 60-1. I got them early in the season, so I'm happy. And speaking of Vegas, Brian, before we get you out of here, just thoughts on coming to Vegas to watch an NFL game. How excited for you? And I know everybody has a Vegas story, so I'm wondering if we can get yours.
Oh, man. I mean, my mom and dad lived there for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So, I mean, I was in Vegas all the time. I'm a blackjack I'm not an expert.
Analyst. Right? No. You're an analyst of blackjack. That's what you do.
Yep. There was a couple years where I did not have an assignment on Wild Card Weekend for the NFL Network or Fox. And me and my buddies went to Vegas, and we got in the sports books, and we watched those games like all day long. We didn't leave the book. I mean, it was the best place to go watch games. And I kind of wish I was there right now, but I got to do something at NBC tomorrow night. But otherwise, me and my buddies would be there right now.
That's great. So Brian Baldinger is our guest from the NFL Network. So through the draft, what do you think? What's your impression of what the Raiders need first? There's so many gaps to fill, right? But should they go after an edge rusher first, or do they need to fill the linebacker position, which was really, it was awful. I mean, it was non-existent.
Yeah, I agree. They just had bodies out there.
Warm bodies.
Were they even
most
warm?
of the
Yeah.
time, yeah.
And they were wearing a uniform. That was about all I saw.
You couldn't even analyze them because they weren't on the field.
Yeah. To lose Khalil Mack, for whatever reason, however that decision went down, it was a head-scratcher for me. It still is. They just don't come along that often, guys like that. And so they never replaced it. Arden Key. They drafted all these young guys, P.J. Hall, Maurice Hurst Jr. You got to see how these guys develop. Usually it takes defensive linemen a second year, get them to their sophomore year before you really find out if they can play. They all were on the field a great deal this year. So, it's a young core. We'll see how they develop. They can make a big leap between the first year and second year, but they still need an elite pass rusher on the outside. And so I think it's going to be a good draft for them. I think it's a deep draft, a defensive lineman, period. We'll take a look at what their rushing abilities look like once we really start combing through the film. But all indications are that there's going to be 4 or 5 elite defensive linemen in this draft that could come in and play right away and be an impactful player. And I think that's where it starts. In this league, what you typically do is you identify your quarterback and you build around him. You find, and then you protect your quarterback, and then you find guys that can go attack a quarterback. That's kind of the blueprint that most teams look at. If you look at the Eagles, Carson Wentz was their quarterback, and nobody had a better offensive line last year than the Eagles. And then, defensively, Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, they made the plays against the Patriots to win that game in the Super Bowl. So you go through the litany of Super Bowl winning teams, but that's the formula. So I think that's what the Raiders, I don't think they'll make a mistake if they go that route.
Brian Baldinger has been our guest. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a spot for you. We have an empty seat at the Sportsbook today if you want to bolt and come out.
Can you send me the private jet and come get me?
We got you. Thanks, man. We'll be seeing you often. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
have a great day.
Okay,
Brian
bye.
Baldinger, NFL Network analyst. You can find him on Twitter at Baldy NFL and also Baldy's Breakdowns. He breaks down players, each key play, every single week, every day pretty much on Twitter and Instagram. More on the way right here on the Sports Adrenaline Las Vegas show, CBS Sports Radio, 1140 a.m.
Darren College, a former NFL Super Bowl champion.
Radio, 1140.
We've got you covered, Las Vegas. Reach out to us. Tweet at Adrenaline LV. Find us on Facebook, Sports Adrenaline LV. Or call us now at 702-889-5978. This is the Sports Adrenaline Show on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 AM.
So the Ice Vegas Invitational is in town this weekend. Last night, advancing Western Michigan and Air Force. They will meet in the final of this two-game tournament coming up tonight. The matchup that everyone was hoping for. It's a rematch of the 2017 meeting between the two schools, and Air Force knocked Western Michigan out of the NCAA tournament in the Eastern Regional by a final score of 5-3. That's going to be really good. I had an opportunity. I interviewed Kyle Hake, the Cadet of the Year. So in all of the sports, their athletics at Air Force,
he's the one.
Kyle Hake he's the Cadet of the Year.
That's cool.
You know, here's a guy. So I try to hide from the camera,
You just
right?
sounded like Madden there. Here's a guy.
So here's a guy who hides. That's me. I hide from the camera at all costs. What do? They put this interview, the coaches' interviews, everything on the Jumbotron. My head is awfully big.
So they put you in a shot? Why? But they can frame it so that you're not in the shot.
Well,
so I don't know why they do that.
I wish, yeah, exactly. So I was trying to hide. But a couple of drunk fans kind of pinned me down. But, okay, so Kyle Hake, his major is physics. Talk about, I was way overmatched here. His minor.
Well, that doesn't take
His
much.
minor, nuclear disarmament.
That's awesome.
That's what I was. That was my minor at UNLV back in the day.
Yeah.
So the consolation
Nuclear
game tonight,
what?
we've got UConn against St. Lawrence. A lot of talk, going around about Las Vegas hosting a Frozen Four in the future at T-Mobile. So the bids have to be in coming up, I think, in the spring. So the bids for the NC2A in all sports and championship, all championship activity, they have to be submitted by this spring. So Vegas wants the Frozen Four. They're probably going to bid on the NC2A basketball tournament.
Got to have a Final Four.
Men's and women's here, right? Start with the regional, at least, whatever. But it's got to happen. I think that they're shooting now for 2023. A Frozen Four has to be here. It's in Buffalo this year. For crying out loud, people want to come here.
NFL Combine has to be coming here. Pro Bowl.
I was just going to say, once the draft happens in 2020, I think it's kind of a landslide after that. I think that's major event after major event after major event once the NFL shows
I can't wait to see the early season non-conference football games that we get out here. You're going to have some big matchups there. Obviously, Super Bowl's going to be headed this way.
What about World Juniors? We're watching it. And
why not?
That could come to the city, and they're talking again. The BD Global guys last night were saying, hey, we're going to try to make a bid on World Juniors.
Do you need more than one arena for that, or no?
No.
Well, they can play all the games on the same sheet of ice?
That's a great question. Yeah. That's a great question. But
why
BD
not? Global can figure it out.
They can. There's more spaces. You could put a rink where at MGM,
Henderson,
Thomas and Mack.
Yeah.
Before they blow up,
Thomas and Mack's not big enough.
Before they blow up Sam Boyd, we can have the outdoor classic there.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Hey, win tomorrow. Win tomorrow for Golden Knights.
Win tomorrow.
Devils, Rangers. Got to beat both of them, and then you've got San Jose right on their heels.
Nah, I don't think so.
3 straight home games. Stop.
The point streak continues for sure. I'm going to say that. So again,
they're going to lose to the Devils and they'll beat the Rangers.
This team is on a roll.
I've been watching the Rangers. They're not very good, obviously.
I've been
they will beat the Rangers.
Paul Stastny's return has really been key. I know Nate Schmidt's return. That's obvious. But Stastny coming back into the fold. You see what he did with Pacioretty last night. I think Stastny is a James Neal, but better. Better creator, can score if he needs to or when he's in a position to. But we're glad that James Neal's not on the roster this year.
Thanks again to our guest today, Brian Baldinger, the analyst from the NFL Network, and also Peter Guzman stopped by from the Community Benefits Oversight Board of the Las Vegas Stadium Authority. Tommy White chiming in, special guest there late from Laborers Local 872 for John Castanino, for Matt Gutierrez, and for our producer-engineer, Sonia Slobom. I'm Tony Cardasco. So long from Las Vegas. You've been listening to the Sports Adrenaline Las Vegas show.
Open enrollment has ended, but you may still be able to purchase health insurance.